So, stop transcription. Great. Okay, everybody can hear me well? Yeah. How's your week? How were the assignments? Was that too much? No? No? It was okay? Yeah. It's kind of nicely breaking down into little pieces. Well done to everybody to do your assignments, to do the quizzes, to pass the quizzes. So yes, we are kind of pretty much there. One more week with us, more assignments, um, and then we are done. The next session is the final one. So halfway, I would say. Yeah. Any questions about the assignments? No?
I have a question. When I was doing the posting and scheduling the training,
Yeah.
so I posted the training, so I wasn't sure if I've done it right. Um, uh,
Okay.
that's I want to make sure that is it the correct way that I've done it, because it showed that it's active for one day.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's funny the way that it works for you guys right now because you have a limited access. Okay, so whatever you're doing, it's kind of not real. Do you know what I mean? Um, it's it's temporary until we all finish the course and you all get your agreements, you sign your agreements, and then you're gonna get full access to the portal, to the materials that corresponds to your modules. So, and then things get, this is just really practice. Okay, so don't worry. Don't worry if you made any mistake. You will make more mistakes in the future, I guarantee to you, don't worry. And it's normal. But as I said in the previous session, the more that you use the platform, the better you get used to it. I guarantee is far much better than it was before. Like in my time, you have no idea how difficult it was. Like you almost had to kind of send a request to the office to ask them to publish the course or something like that. You know, it was really, really, now there's a lot of autonomy for you that you things that you can manage. And whatever problem you have, we're here to help. Fiona will be your best friend in terms of anything that comes to your administration. It's okay? So no worries. All good. You find it hard, like to navigate through the platform? Or no? Okay, 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 cool. Well, if you have more questions, just let me know, okay? Um, today session, well, questions and answers from last week we just did. Um, we'll go through the course materials, and then we'll go through the policies and procedures. When it comes to course materials, I want to give a sort of brief history of the course materials and a little overview that what is happening right now and what is the future for the course materials. I've been part of the evolution of this process from prior unification, after unification, and as I said, thankfully we are evolving, the systems are evolving, and we are becoming more lean and more efficient. Okay, so when it comes to course materials, in the past, the course materials for the modules that we have, as you can see here. By the way, am I sharing the screen now? I'm talking and not sharing anything. Yes. Anna, I told you, let me know. Okay, so now you can see the screen. Yes. So these are examples of course materials. So you have the guidebook, and then you have the practical exams, and then you have the actual certificate. Yeah. In the past, the way the course materials came to life, it was a working collaboration with coffee experts from all around the world in specific subjects. So I was part of the work with these really good people and amazing professionals to bring together their knowledge and trying to understand what we want to expect from our custom materials and facilitate that to ASTs and end up what we have kind of right now. Wasn't easy, I have to say. It wasn't easy to work because mostly these coffee experts, they were volunteers. It was a lot to ask from them um, in terms of collaboration, their own time, um, different opinions. So they did really because of love of coffee and because of love of education. But as I said, there was a lot of conflict in terms of opinions and mostly because they are coffee professionals. They are not instructional designers or um, education based in terms of understanding the objectives and understanding job task analysis and all of that thing. They were coffee professionals. They were really good, and they are still, sorry, they're still, we keep contact with, they're still really good coffee professionals. But when it comes to designing course materials, um, it wasn't their expertise. But we did what we could. I have to say the course materials that still exist, they are doing their job. There is always room for improvement. And when it comes to course materials in general, I have I want you to have in mind that they are not written in stone. Okay, so whatever's in there, it's live and it can change, and hopefully it change. Because as the coffee industry evolves, we want our course materials to be more relevant as well. So we've seen already some transformations of our course materials, and there is more to come. Some and most of these transformations had happened since we've created a new position and hired a content developed director. That is Chelsea Dubey. She's based in the US. She's an amazing professional. She is an instructor design. She's doing a master in education right now. She's finishing, and her job is literally take the course materials that we have or any knowledge that we need to pass it on and work with them in terms of creating the learning objectives and focus on the structure and focus on everything that has to do working in conjunction with coffee professionals still. So now we don't have volunteers, we have contractors. So we have an SEA staff that works with the as the content development. And then we have the contractor, coffee expert, that is actually accessing to make these new course materials. You had the chance to experience a transformation when you were going through the new introduction to coffee, right? That is called the Introduction to Coffee version 3.0. Well, I'm from the Introduction to Coffee 0.0, and then we are right now in 3.0. Um, when there is a massive and significant change on any course material, and then is when we change the version. If there is small updates, we don't change the version. We just notify this change to you through something that is called the log book, or sorry, the change log. I don't know if you saw the change log somewhere. I think you did when you downloaded materials. I think you had to download a pack, did you? Just trying to think out loud here. Did you see the change log? No? Did you? Yeah? No? I can show you quick. Just give me 1 second there. Um, Portal. To do that, I need to skip from here. So, for example, inside of any pack, you have something, a little folder that is called change log. So in this case here is called Introduction to Coffee. So Introduction to Coffee, I know it looks very small. I'm gonna try to make it bigger. This is an old one, don't mind, okay? But when you download a pack for your model, so let's say you're licensed and certified to teach barista models, and then you download the barista pack from the portal. You go to my course materials, you my downloads, and then you go there and you download the pack. Inside the pack looks like this. Something like that. In fact, it looks, when you download, it unzips and it shows a specific date. Can you see that? I know it's kind of tiny. This date is very important. Bear in mind, um, because every time there is a change, the minimum change, a word, a question, a number, whatever, we will create a new pack with a new date. So what I advise you all now, from the moment that you become an AST, you will be able to download your pack. Time to time, let's say once a month or every 2 months, go back and download it again, just in case, because it might have something. We don't notify you of those changes. I'm not sending you a mail saying, hey, Jovica, we've changed something in Coffee Tech. No, you have to download it. And if you notice that the pack has a different date from the one that you had before, that means something changed. Make sense? Then, how do you know what changed? This is what I'm saying. You go inside the pack. Where is the log here? This one. Yes. You go inside the pack and you see all the languages, and you see this guy here called brewing log. So when you open the brewing log, there is dates from the beginning, and you keep going all the way down until the latest one, let's say. So in November of 22, we made, wow, did you hear that? Jerry? It was a massive thunder.
I also saw the lightning. I
I
was
know
looking at
I
the window.
did.
I'm in the
Anyway,
24th floor, so I really saw the lightning.
whoa. Anyway, so in November of 22, we've made a change. It says here, Brewing Intermediate Guidebook Korean. The question with the question ID, blah, blah, blah. Translation was updated for clarity. So there was an error on the translation. So we changed it. That's simple, but it's there. It's letting you know that something changed. Probably it's not relevant to you, but it might be. So that's why I advise you all, don't download the pack and stay there, because these our programs, they are constantly in movement. And if an AST send me an email saying, Vinny, I found an error in a question, or there is a problem with the translation, and then I have to go back there, do some changes, and then we upload a new pack. We are not changing the version because it's small changes. But when a big change comes, like for example, what happened with the introduction to coffee, or what happened with sensory skills, and then it changed the version because there is a massive change. And when the change happens in a document like the sensory, for example, that is version 3 right now, yeah. So there is one area on the guidebook that says what change. Let me see if it's showing here from previous. Maybe this one doesn't have any. Curriculum, yes. Can you see here curriculum updates from previous version? Yeah.
All right.
So when it's a change of a version, you will find that information of the change on the actual guidebook, saying from the previous version, this is what happened. And then you know that you have to adapt your course to those new changes. Okay? Questions? No? No. Well, since I have these, as I was saying, so right now the course materials are being developed differently, more thoroughly, more professional. Uh, it's really good. It's really good. I'm very happy the way that the things are moving. So that's why you will find some inconsistencies in between what we have here on the screen. This is a new version, the version 3, the most recent one for sensory, but it is still on an old format because this is probably not like the one that you saw, sorry, like you saw for Introduction to Coffee, or for example, this one that we have for sustainability. So the way that things in the new layout of the guidebooks are completely different. And this is the direction that we are actually going. Okay? So just a quick overview on the actual guidebook. So general information, curriculum updates. This table is very interesting, very important. It's where it tells you it's kind of a glance of the course. So it tells you all the different topics that will be touched or that is in this guidebook by different topics, different sections. And also it shows you the pool of questions and the questions presented to the students. What does that mean? It means that, for example, for introduction to sensory assessment, we have 5 questions on a pool. But out of these 5 questions, only one will be presented to the student. Our system, our platform that I actually, the one I work with, it's kind of part of my job too, is when you create an online exam, I can actually tell the platform, go to this topic, and out of these 5 questions, pick only one and present that on the exam. So when the students go to take the online exam, he clicks Start Exam, the platform randomize and go and pick one. And the student sitting beside him, they will click Start Exam, and it's probably not the same question because there is 5 options in there, 5 different questions that, so the system knows. There is a function that I can click, avoid previous presented questions. So the online platform is called question mark. It will randomize. That makes more relevant. That makes more difficult somehow. Because even when a student fail, because you know that, you know, when the, how many, that's a question for the group. How many attempts a student has to take an exam? 2. Yes, not only 2, okay? We'll be clear with you all. In theory, 2. In theory, 2, we'll talk about that later, but there is situations that you might need to request another chance, and we can give as many chances as necessary. Just don't say that to the students, okay? Just let them think that it's only 2. But sometimes you see the system is very picky and is very, it doesn't forgive them. So if there is, once you start the exam, you can't stop. And if there is like an outage or the internet's gone or for some reason the exam shut down, that is taken as one attempt. So we have to be flexible. And then sometimes there is other reasons, like there is reasons in terms of difficulties of understanding, even though there is normally 15 languages, but there is always something. So we are very flexible, okay? But don't tell the students. So yes, so in the guidebook we have the questions, the topics. It shows you where there is activities. What I want to highlight in here that most of our modules right now, they still contain all the questions from the pool. Okay, so what you see down here is that in this topic, the first topic on this model, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, correct? So you can see them. You can, do I make it bigger or it's okay? It's okay. Try to make it slightly bigger. So you can actually access to all the questions. That's the way that has been forever. So we've been allowing you to see what are the questions to be presented to the students. Somehow, it's not a good thing. Somehow, because we've seen that many ASTs, instead of focus on the learning objective, they've actually been focused on the questions. So when they created the exam, so the course, they start backwards. Okay, these are the questions that are going possibly to be presented to the students. So I'm going to focus on answer those questions by teaching about them. And then they look at the ASD notes and then they look about the learning objectives. But this is not what we want. What we want is that your course is so good that no matter how, the students will be able to answer those questions. And then also there is a matter of maintaining integrity of the exam. There is a matter of us to be able to change or fix or update questions much quicker. And I'm saying that because that's another thing that I do as well. If you contact me and say, Vinny, the question, let's say question ID, blah, 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 on the sensory exam, there is a misspell on the word provoke. A simple example. If there is a misspell on the word provoke, I'm gonna have to, or the word provoke is wrong and needs to be changed to something else, I'm gonna have to go back to this guidebook and 15 others in all the languages and then go to the online exam in all the languages just to change one word. The fact that they exist in the guidebook, it makes things even harder for maintaining it. So if we have to, one word, a change of a word, it can take me easy an hour or more to get fixed. And I'm not complaining, I'm just letting you know because people sometimes don't understand the way that it works. The fact that we now, as you can see here in the new guidebook for sustainability, we're going to talk about that in a second, we don't have the questions anymore. What we do have is a massive learning objectives and AST notes, holding your hand and letting you know what you really need to teach. Well, all the references in there as well, they help. And then we also have some example of the questions. So just to give you an idea on how the questions will be presented. There is more questions than that. In here, you can see only 2 examples. There is more in that topic, but they are not in the guidebook anymore. So we are trying to, some ASTs are complaining, I'll be honest, because they were so used to see the questions and they were so used to prepare those courses based on the questions that now that they don't have the questions, they're gonna have to learn or prepare a course based on the actual learning objective. So these are kind of the big changes that is coming. Um, we already changed for, well, of course, CVA. The most recent course is the Introduction to Coffee, the sustainability. Sustainability is an interesting one. Have you anyone took any sustainability course? No? People. No. No, not at all. Well, so the previous sustainability module, it was divided into, as you know, foundation, intermediate, and professional. But then since Chelsea joined the team, there and then we also have a sustainability director, really nice guy. Um, and we start to kind of trying to understand and see that the actual course, well, one, it was not accessible. It was super difficult to very little AST's teaching. Second, it wasn't necessarily relevant to the industry right now. As I said, the industry is evolving. And the other thing, the first module, because I actually took myself the foundation and the intermediate, the foundation module was more like the courses that we know. No practical exam, as you can imagine. How are you going to do a practical exam for sustainability? Foundation, there was some elements of study cases. So basically, that kind of the evaluation that you have to do, it was more based on study cases. So the way that the course was initially designed was again designed for from experts, but not on educational or in instructional design. Long story short, now we have four. So all of that's gone. Foundation, intermediate, professional, gone. What we have right now, it's four different modules. So we do have a foundation. And then we also have this one here that is called Climate and Coffee, specifically to talk about climate and coffee. And then we have another one, compliance and reporting, and then coffee economics. To really focus on specific subjects. So there is no concept anymore of intermediate, foundation, and professional. It's all about to understand these different um, subjects. So the course is really good. It's actually it's beautiful. I have to say, it's really really nice. So and it's more accessible. So it's becoming more accessible. So in the way that we are trying to promote to ASTs to be able to teach, so it will make it more accessible as well. Okay? So that's a little about the course, the guidebooks and the changes. There was another change recently that affected massively our previous modules. Can anyone tell me what recent change we had on our program that affected existing models? We created something. We're gonna, Jovica, you're about to say something. Say again?
CVA form?
The CVA. Take the word form. The CVA.
Stevie.
Coffee value assessment. From the moment that we launched the coffee value assessment, we crashed in front of many of our modules. Because because just the fact that some of our models were using the word cup inform, it was wrong. Well, not wrong, not relevant anymore. So immediately after launching the CVA, we had to go back and see where we need to update. Then it came the version 3 for sensory, the version 2.1 for green coffee, and the introduction to coffee. I have someone waiting. No? Ah, Jerry, you raise your hand. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but I can't lower my hand now. That was
Say
when
again.
you asked the recent changes. I cannot lower my hand.
Ah,
Talk.
okay. Lower hand. I did it for you. So yes, all those courses, even Introduction to Coffee, we had to update it to comply or to be consistent with the CVA. So you see, as I was saying, it's this is in movement, and it will keep happening. And there is more revisions coming. I can tell you that the next in line for revision, it will be the barista course, the barista model, and probably roasting after. For out of our current models, probably the brewing is the most, the one that kind of, yeah, needs to change very little. I worked side by side with the guys from brewing, and there was a lot of thought put in that course, really a lot. So yeah, barista course is coming, but then this time we are doing something different. We are going to throw out there a job task analysis, a survey, and try to understand from you and from the community what is relevant to be taught on barista courses. So many different opinions. And as we know, the industry keeps evolving, and the baristas today are not the same as they were 10 years ago. And there is so much technology, and there is so much science here, so much going on that we need to understand what is relevant and what is not. So the approach of the revision of the foundation course, it will be slightly different because we to make it more relevant. Okay? Question so far? No? If you don't, from current slide, there we go. Okay, so course guidebooks, we spoke about that. Yes, translations. So we necessarily don't have to do them. So as an organization, English is our main language, but we want to be able to facilitate, and historically we've been doing that. That is another thing that sits on my desk. So everything that has to do with the translations. So managing the translations, fixing the translations, reviewing translations, and all of that. So we have some core languages that is actually right now a little less than that. I can say the core languages we have Spanish, Korean, simplified traditional Chinese, um, and Portuguese. So mainly these, it's kind of the most relevant to why now, but doesn't mean that we are not working with the other translations. So some documents, some course materials, we are translating in the core ones, and then the others will come with the time. Okay, so the translations is mostly thinking on the benefit of the students as well, because as this class, for example, we have many people from everywhere, and then the fact that you have the freedom to go back home, to go into your exam and choose your language that accommodated to you, to specifically to you, that is a benefit. Our translations are not perfect though. Okay, so sometimes it's really hard to get it right. As you can imagine, for example, I have that situation with the Spanish. My Spanish is coming from Chile. Um, but someone else that has an Spanish from Mexico or from Guatemala or from Spain, we use different words for the same thing. It's really hard kind of to narrow down in something understandable. Or even the fact that some specific words like flavor and taste in different languages, they get mixed up. So all of those little things make it hard to, but we try our best. I can guarantee personally, because as I said, it's something that I work constantly myself. Our translations today are much better than they were before. We are using a very professional translation company. We have a huge database with coffee terminology and a glossary for specific models. So yes, the translations are much better than it was before. They are not perfect. That's why constantly, if you see a problem with a translation of a specific word, contact me directly and I will get that review. Okay? So that's when it comes to translations. Okay, now our next topic, if I can move on from course materials and translations. No questions? No? Okay, policies and procedures considerations. What is that? So, policies basically are guidelines set by you, set by us, for situations that hasn't happened yet. This is what is called policies. And procedures are determinations in advance of steps of a particular situation. Okay? So we as an organization, we have policies and procedures. Even, for example, the code of conduct that we have when a student is about to log in for an online exam, there is some policies and procedures in place for that. So we have our own as an organization, but you as a professional, and that's why we are having this conversation, because from now on, you will be an independent professional working in conjunction with us. But we cannot establish your policy and procedures for your own business. That goes against the license agreement that we have. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is having a conversation with you regarding to some tips or some advices from our personal experience in terms of what could you do when it comes to your own policies and procedures. Okay? Yeah? Cool. And then you understand as I keep going how important this can become. An example of policy is cancellation policy. Oh, I never thought about that. Well, yes. So when you set up a course, you announce a course online. So you will get so excited when you become AST that you will complete the calendar from the year to the end of the year with courses. Brian is here. There we go. Hello, Brian. You made it.
Sorry. Thank
No,
you.
it's okay. It's okay. Are you okay? Yeah.
Yeah, everything's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So yeah, so you populate your calendar with courses from here to the end of the year, but you have to have in consideration when it comes to cancellations, because, for example, some of these cancellations, it might happen or might be initiated by the students. So you fill it up a class, and then suddenly a student, for X reason, decide to say to cancel. What are you going to do? Are you going to refund the money? Are you going to refund part of the money? It's like when you book a hotel or a flight, there is kind of these limits for your cancellation. It's the same thing. There's no much difference in here, but things that we might have to have in consideration when you are setting up a course. When you schedule a course, when it comes to these situations, the student might got sick for illness. How true is that? How not? If you're going to believe, are you going to ask for a medical certificate for that? I'm just saying, I'm not asking that question. You don't have to reply it. You just have to have that in mind. Make a note, okay? Because it's important. Another, yes. So another way that could be canceled is by you for some reason. For example, and it happened actually to me many times in the past. I schedule a course, and unfortunately, I don't fill it up the class. I might have one or two students. It comes the question, is it worth it to run a course with one student? It's a question. It might be, it might be not. Can you actually cancel the course and move everybody to a new date? Or should you establish that on your message when you promote the course, a sort of terms and conditions regarding to the number of students on this class? So if it doesn't reach the minimum number of students, this course is not going ahead. At least you are telling them. Do you know what I mean? So it's an example of a cancellation initiated by you. Another situation like we are having right now with Jerry, thunderstorm, and then and then power outage and kaput course. So cancellation. What is going to happen? What are you gonna do with those students? Are you moving them? Are you refunding them? It's complicated. When it comes to refunding, dealing with, you have to deal with us. Mostly if there is invoices already raised for courses or payments already happened, it gets a little tricky. It's possible. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm telling you, it gets a little tricky. Yep. So that's when it comes to cancellation. Now, in terms of attendance. When it comes to attendance, for example, if a student show up late, are you going to allow that student to sit on your class even though he came up like 2 hours late, like Brian today? I don't know. It's up to you, it's not up to me. Depends on the course. Did he contact you that that's going to happen? Did not? As you can see how relevant this conversation is start to become and how real this start to become. How many of you are familiar with those things on daily basis? Yeah, yeah, cool. Yes, so if the course, let's say if it is an introduction to coffee, a course that only lasts 4 hours, and a student show up an hour later, is it, I don't know if I would accept him. I might move him to another class, but with no reason he show up late, that is a situation, you know? Or otherwise in the opposite way. Many times the students comes to your course, they are traveling from somewhere far and they want to catch their flight. They don't want to spend another night in your town just to finish the course. And he's asking, can I finish early or as early as I can, take my exam and buy? Are you going to be flexible on that situation to accommodate that student? So again, these are questions that you might ask to yourselves. Okay. Um, Another one in terms of attendance, like breaks. Are the breaks during your course affecting the attendance because the students, they got too friendly, they are chatting away and delaying the class? That's another situation. Yeah. As you can see, I'm just throwing out to you some situations for you to have that in consideration. Yeah. Attentiveness, what does that mean? Means if I'm running a class and I have a student with the with the phone all the time, with the laptop, or sleeping like Jerry today. So, yes, how tough you are or not. In my personal opinion, if I am a student and I'm spending money, it is the minimum of respect to myself, to my pocket, and to my teacher to pay attention to the class. That's kind of a problem that I don't think you will have. Not in this industry. Normally not. Um, Retakes. That's a good one. How does it work? What is your policy for retakes? Now, we as a organization, as a CA, as I told you before, we allow the students to take 2 attempts for the online exam and 2 attempts for the practical exam. But what happens is the students fail the practical exam a third time. Are you going to make the students take your course again? And believe me, this is a big one. Eh? This is a big one that you might, because just the fact that you're running that practical exam, sometimes the practical exams, when it comes to sensory or when it comes to roasting, demands a preparation. A preparation is not only materials, it's time. Are you willing to give that third chance to the students for free? Are you charging? How far can you go? I was personally very tough on that. You failed twice, you have to take it again. Very simple. But and then I was flexible when it comes to if the practical exam has 5 elements and you fail one, I might accommodate you on the same day just to take that one. Do you know what I mean? Find that balance in between being tough and not. But then when I was running roasting courses, it becomes really hard because there is elements of the practical exam and mostly on the professional level that if you fail, there's no way back. So it's you have to reset it again. Uh, have anyone took the roasting one in this class? Yeah. Have you take the professional? Yeah. Remember that one that you have to match the curve? Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes. So as I said, um, there is situations and situations in here when it comes to retake, but please have that in consideration. Okay. Complain. Yeah, it's another one. Complain. I have to say, if someone is passing your course, they won't complain. Normally, who complains is because they didn't pass. How will we deal with a complaint? You know, I'm just asking, how are you going to deal with that complaint? Is the student fault? Is your fault? Is that always question? Customers is always right. Is it? I don't know. In this case, the student is your customer. So, Joel, go ahead.
I just, as a like thing, I always like to make remind people that there's like a whole like second half of that phrase that people
Yeah,
just forget because it's the customer is always right in matters of taste. But in
yeah,
terms of policy and procedure, they can be wrong all the time, right? It's like in terms of
exactly.
like what they like, they can be right all the time. But like beyond that, they actually don't really get to say
Mm.
often, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think what it's always hard to deal with someone that is not happy, and mostly like they spend their time and they spend their money and they think that they are right. I think it's finding that balance and remember that you're representing your business, you're representing ourselves. You don't want to create a bad reputation for your neither and start a fight with the student, but at the same time, you have your own rights, so it's try to understand where the complaint is coming from. Listen, that's the most important thing, and then act, not react, but act to that complaint. Because the complaint it can be for many reasons for coming from the students or coming from the AST. It's a very tricky one, but I think what's the most important thing here is be able to listen. And by doing that, and that's kind of a personal advice, that's the way that I am. Be able to do that is already resolving half of the problem. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Uh, Public health and safety, that is something that you might have in consideration as well when it comes to your venue, when it comes to your classroom. We start to pay more attention to these when the COVID came, correct? And then all the community of ASDs were reaching out to us. What do I do? Do I put classes? Can I run classes or not? That Mika thing. And should I run the courses with masks? I can't tell you because every country and every place they have their own regulations when it comes to health and safety. So you really have to look at it your own legislation. Okay? But it's important. I'm not saying that it's not. Emergency, injuries, procedures, be prepared, accidents happens, burning, cutting. Well, cutting that, no, we don't cut anything when we teach coffee, do we? No, but burning we do. Either with a espresso machine or hot water or a roaster. It might happen. Just be prepared. Be prepared. Be prepared in case of something happen. At least you're kind of protecting yourself. Because as you can see here on this entire conversation, it's it's for you to protect your back from them, you know? So that's it. So you avoid problems in the future. Learning code of conduct as well. I think, well, as I mentioned before, there is a learning code of conduct for you taking this class, for the learners taking the online exam. You might have a conduct to yourself, like you want the students to behave themselves in the class, to respect their peers, so we are all adults, but there is always that one, that wants to be the star of the show. So yeah, payment policy. This is interesting when it comes. I think when the clears that you are from the beginning, the better when it comes to payment. So if you want to take my course, pay upfront or not, that's your choice, but clear. The communication with the students, be clear. Some ASTs, they take half of the beginning, half of the end. Others, no, you have to pay upfront. Others, they are more flexible. So I don't know. I'm not running your business. You're running your business. So you have to decide how you want. Now, remember, we charge. So the fees that you have to charge to us, so they pay to us, the enrollment fee, the AST fee, that's going to happen anyway. So if you're not charging your student something at the beginning, it's coming from your pocket, but it's your choice. By the way, there is some changes coming, huh? This is fresh news. Yeah, very fresh news. Did you hear anything? No? 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 When it comes to fees, you will find out very soon. We are establishing a new pricing model. So, and this pricing model, it's mainly focused to adjust on different economic realities around in sectors around the world. And it's going to affect the ASTs and going to affect the students. So that's coming. Okay. So the fees that we had discussed, they might change. For the better though, I have to say. We've been planning this for a while. I'm not gonna say more because maybe I'm jumping ahead, but it's coming. It's coming. Um, Stay tuned. Stay tuned. So whatever I said before, forget it. It's coming. So yes, that's when it comes to payment. Third-party policy. What is that? McRae, you raise your head.
Yeah, I just had two questions about the payment policy
Sure.
topic. The first one being, for instance, for this course, you need to pay 14 days before it started. Is that because the AST service fee and the course enrollment fee are due 14 days before all courses, or is that just specific to this course? Like, do I, for instance, in future courses that I'm doing, do I need to make sure that the course enrollment fee and AST service fee are paid at least 14 days before the start of the course, or?
No, 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 no. You can pay in the same day.
Okay.
It's okay. It's
Um,
okay. No, you don't have to. Um, the only reason you must pay before the course finish is
yeah,
because if the students pass the practical, you want to go on the system and click send the written exam, you won't be able to
yeah,
do that if it's not
yeah.
paid. But you
Okay.
could be paying on the same day of the course.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there's like maybe like a
Yeah,
time that they have to activate
no,
it, but
no, no. This situation with us is specific to a different situation because this course it's a more it's a different one. This
okay.
is different. Okay.
And the other question I had, for instance, like, because I know that a lot of the trainings that I'll be doing will be like, for instance, like internally in my company. So I would assume that, like, for instance, I don't know. My question is essentially if it's allowed to do that. Okay, so these course enrollment fee and the AST service fee are non-negotiable. Those have to be paid. That's paid to the SCA. The rest of the fee that like I would charge for my own course would then be up to me, to me, whatever else. Is there some sort of policy that like is not allowed that you would then take away the personal fees? So for instance, like I wouldn't charge my students a fee for this class with me. I would just charge them the course enrollment and the AST service fee.
You can charge whatever you want. You can do a course for free.
Okay.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I hear on that. There is something called flexi license though, that actually your company it will be dealing with the fees.
Yeah.
So you can have a look on that if that suits to you. But it's fine. I've run so many courses for people that I know.
Yeah.
Um, and the only thing that I was charging literally was the fee.
Hmm.
And when I was working for this big roster before, um, the same. They were constantly bringing customers and making us run courses pretty much for free for them, but
Hmm.
they had to pay the fees, so you can't escape from the fee.
Of course. Yeah.
But you don't need to charge.
Yeah.
That is up to you. That's up to you.
Okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
no problem. So when it comes to third party, pay special attention to that, okay? Because third party, it's when you're teaching in somewhere else, and that might happens often. For example, when I was going to teach in the barista camp, so I'm going to a different venue. I don't even know the place. And I'm going to run this massive course for these 50 people or more. Yeah, it's not my venue. I don't control that. But please make sure to try to control as much as you can, even if it's for a friend of you that just call and say, "Hey, Joe, can you come and teach in my venue because I have some students coming?" Or blah blah blah. Yes, it's your friend. But try to strike some agreement in there. But if there is a problem, and the problems it might come, your friend is not the one to blame. It's you. Okay, so make sure that the venue has everything that you need. If you can't visit the venue before, do a video call. Um, Establish the pricing, establish the policies prior the course happens. Because as I said, if something goes wrong, it's not the venue's fault. Yeah. So that's when it comes to third-party policies, to establish that agreement with the venue where you're going to teach. Okay. Um, Yay! We finish in an hour. It's time for you to go to bed, Jerry. Look at him. Jerry. So yeah, that was it for today, actually. I wasn't planning to do that fast, but we just went, we just flew. Um, was that useful? The conversation itself, it was good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any questions before I let you go? No. No. Okay. Well, I'm here. By the way, guys, you're so quiet on WhatsApp. I'm not complaining, but I had my previous group on WhatsApp. I couldn't shut it up. They talk and talk, and then, but no, you, I barely get a message from you. But anyway, now listen, thank you so much. I wish you all a good week. There is more assignments coming today, another bunch coming on Friday, not that many actually. And then next Tuesday, we meet again to say goodbye. Well, the final session. Okay. So thank you so much again. Have a good rest of your day. Good night to some of us. And I see you soon. Have a good week. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Have a good week.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.